episode. Today we have on Kholood, and she is currently in New York. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Fabulous. Thank you for asking. Please tell us how the weather is for you right now.
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity for this. And the weather is currently raining and it's getting really cold, as you can see. So this is one thing maybe I miss about LA, but it's awesome. I love it.
Fabulous. All right, for those listening, please tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into modeling, why you got into modeling, who you're signed with, and all that jazz.
Okay. So I'm Kholood. I am an architect and a model, and I started modeling. First of all, my passion for modeling started at a young age. I used to watch a lot of the beauty pageants, and my parents and my family would always tell me that I should become part of it. So that was since I was 9. And then as I grew up, I started looking more into it. And then I first applied for the first beauty pageant, and that was in Lebanon because I grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my first rejection. So after getting rejection because of my hips, they said my hips were too wide, I applied for another beauty pageant, which was kind of on a smaller scale, and
Mm-hmm.
I won first runner up. After that, thank you. After that, I started, photographers started reaching out to me, and then I started doing photo shoots here and there. Then I started working with fashion brands locally in Lebanon. And after that, I moved to LA with my family, which was in 2018. Um, I started again working on my portfolio and fixing it. I got signed with EMG Models in 2018, 19 actually. And after that, I was also working on my own. Like I was finding jobs on my own, doing photo shoots, runways as much as I can, building my portfolio. And 1 month ago, actually exactly a month ago, I just moved to New York. I'm still signed with
Woo!
EMG Models in New York. Yes.
Yep.
And yeah, this is how it's going.
Which is such an amazing journey. If you
Yeah, it
can,
is.
there's so much to pick and choose, but first, I know a lot of people are, those who are listening, and a lot of my audience have always asked me the how your experiences as a freelancer, how your experiences as a signed model, and then doing both at the same time, reaching out for
Hmm.
yourself and networking on top of
Yeah.
being a signed model. What are your experiences regarding that?
Okay. Well, there's always like advantages and disadvantages to both sides for being a freelance model and a signed model.
Mm-hmm.
As a freelance model, which I've done, I would say that the good part is you have your freedom, you have um, your own schedule, like you can make up your own schedule, do photo shoots whenever you want, be creative in your photo shoots. You can choose the theme, you can choose the makeup artist, so it's up to you. And it's just there's just a lot of freedom in that, and obviously connections.
Right.
The better part about being signed with an agency is obviously they hook you up with better connections, bigger jobs. They can get you to bigger or yeah, like they can get you like bigger places in your careers because
Right.
obviously they have more connections than you. But I would say a good, like a combination of both is really good because you're still getting the bigger jobs from the agencies and you're still being creative on your own, which is very important to me. Like I really love creating my own photo shoots. So
Yes,
yeah.
so do I. There's a lot of freedom that comes with creating, and
Yeah,
there
of
is a
course.
balance, however, to be able to strike because I know the agency would want you
Mhm.
at a certain image to
Yes,
uphold.
of course.
And so, how are
Exactly.
you able to walk the line of doing what you want creatively
Mhm.
while still being able to satisfy how the agency wants to brand you?
I would say, I mean, it kind of goes the same way because the way my agency wants to brand me is almost the same as what I'm doing. The only thing maybe I
Okay.
would say is not being able to change my hair whenever I want. So this is
Right.
this is the only thing that I'm kind of sad about because you can't change that whenever you want. But other than that, I feel like it's not a big issue for me.
Right. Well, if you were to change your hair, how would you change it?
I don't know. I'm loving new colors like pink or rose gold.
That'd
I'm
be a
seeing a
lot of
lot of new
fun.
colors, yeah, especially with those filters nowadays. I'm like, yeah,
I
I really want to
know.
try that, but I don't think I can.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's super interesting because when it comes to working with agencies and your agent, it's all about communication. If
Yes,
you
of
could give
course.
some advice of being able to professionally communicate within the industry,
Mhm.
what would you tell them, especially because I know it's a little bit difficult for those who are younger, how
Okay.
to talk with adults, because most of them are adults, about business, because modeling is a business.
Yeah. I feel like this is a matter of experience, like it's a trial and error because I used to do a lot of that. Like I used to reach out a lot of brands, and then if I am now looking at what I used to send before, I would say that what was I thinking? So I would say it's literally just a matter of course, like asking people around you for advice, but also trying to reach out to brands because you never know like how would it go, and if they might be interested in you, even if you say something wrong, they might be actually interested in working with you.
Right.
But yeah, like trying to reach out to different brands and obviously using email instead of Instagram, because I also thought that DMing the brand, they're going to be really interested in me and everything's going to work out, but it doesn't work that way. So trying to maybe look for some references and
Mhm.
using email, obviously, instead of DMs, and trial and error.
So how would you go about emailing brands? Do you have a set list of brands that you want to work with, and then you look at the website and try and email whoever it is that's in charge of the PR, or do
Yes.
you go through Instagram and then try and find their email that way?
Yeah, so it goes both ways. You can go through Instagram and first of all, like look at what they're looking for, the kind of image they're trying to brand. How are they? I don't know, like how their website is set up. Like to try to do your research, of course, before emailing them. Do your research about the brand. What are they looking for? What kind of
Hmm.
image do they have? And then when you have like the list of the people that you need to talk to, it's kind of has to be different between each person and the other. Like if you set, let's say, a template or whatever, it can be used for everyone because they can tell
Right.
that you're just copying and pasting from here and there. So maybe like you can do a template, but at the same time, make it customized for each brand that you're reaching out to based on who they are and what they're looking for.
Exactly, like sending out your resume to different jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So for the experienced models, let's talk about pricing because I know that's a little bit difficult of a subject to be able to talk about. How are you able to figure out what you're worth, your hours and your
Mhm.
time, setting that time to a value? Because I
Yes,
know everyone struggles with that. I struggle with
of
that.
course.
I know you might have struggled with that.
Yep, of
Hmm.
course.
So walk us through
uh,
that. How are you able to set your price and really stick with those when reaching out to
um,
brands?
Yeah, I feel like even when you set your price, it also depends on who is the person that you're reaching out to. For example, if you're reaching out to a really good photographer whose work is really good and you might need his work in your portfolio, you might be able to like adapt your prices or again like customize them. But it also depends on your experience. Like once you look at your portfolio and you know that your portfolio is really good, and also like by comparing to other models work, you can know that how good your portfolio is, and also obviously by like referring to your agency and taking their opinion about that and communicating with them, you would know how much your hours are worth. And it takes some research also to know like the model at each stage of her career, how much her
Right.
hours should be. Yeah. So, and it also depends again on the photographer that you're working with, on the team that you're working with. So it's just different every time. There's obviously like
Yeah,
a standard, but it's customized every time.
every time. So
Yeah.
let's talk about, paying for work or
Mhm.
paying to work with a photographer or makeup
Yeah.
artist and whatnot. When do you pay?
Um, I would pay if I feel that the photographer that I'm working with or I want to work with is a really, really established and experienced photographer. I do not mind paying at all. In fact, I just did a paid shoot the past week, and or like the makeup artist or whoever the creative person I'm working with. And if I feel that they might have, I will learn from their experience, I will be willing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
If they will add value to my portfolio, I will definitely pay.
My goodness, it's all communication at that point.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Doing your research.
Yeah,
Always
exactly.
researching.
Of
Okay,
course,
let's
of
move
course.
on a little bit of you're making the transition from Lebanon to LA to New York.
Yes.
Walk us through your process of how you were able to go from LA to New York, because I know there's a lot of people trying to hit both markets or even trying to transition to the New York market.
Yeah.
What steps were you doing or taken to be able to get there?
Mhm. First of all, I stayed in LA for about 2 years and I already had like my experience in the LA market. I've seen like the commercial work in LA. I've done some high fashion in LA and I figured that I feel like I was kind of done with this market and I
Mm-hmm.
want to upgrade, if that's the right word, to New York because New York is more high fashion.
Right.
And when I came here in February for New York Fashion Week, I've always, first of all, I've always loved living in New York. And when I came here, it was like the final decision for me. Like, I really
Right.
have to move here. And I just saw the industry is kind of different. The way you work with people is faster, is different. So when I saw how people work here, I stayed here for like a month and I did some photo shoots. And that was more and more convincing for me that I should just leave everything behind in LA. And I like, this is New York is my market. I really love New York.
I do too.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's finishing from LA, doing everything there, and maybe trying in New York for a short period of time. And yeah, it was like I couldn't not be here, honestly.
Right. So
Yeah.
I know it's a little bit difficult, especially because of finances for those trying to make the
Mhm.
move. Let's backtrack a little bit. How were you able to do or balance the work life and modeling life to get to the point where you are now?
Okay. Well, so when I moved to LA, obviously it was hard because I had to like step in the industry real quick, especially because I was 25 at that
Hmm.
time. And like we all know that in modeling, it's kind of the older you get, the harder it gets, unfortunately.
Yes.
So at one point, I had to save up money so that I can invest in my career. I had a job as an architect, but we know that castings for modeling are always during the day, or like if you book a job, it's usually during the day and it's between 8 and 5. So when I had my job, I was lucky because my boss was also Lebanese and he was very understanding. I was taking so many days off, even when the job was not paid. I was like, sorry, I have this casting, I can't miss it.
That's
And I was
great.
trying not to miss any castings as much as I
Right.
can. But then eventually, like, my boss was like, okay, you either have to choose this or your passion. So I'm like, I am so sorry, I'm gonna go. So I quit my job and then I was just trying to find some jobs like which are more flexible on time, like being a brand ambassador. That helped a lot. And then I started to find night jobs. So I was doing my modeling during the day and then I would work during the night. And that's how I was able to save up money and come to New York,
Right.
because like it's very tough to depend on modeling for like financially as the main
Right.
source of your income, especially
Especially
now.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us, how is the situation for you, especially as a working model during the coronavirus, during
Oh.
COVID-19? How is it? How have you been able to find work, especially right
uh,
now?
yeah, it was definitely tough. Like it's a very tough time for everyone, and in the modeling career, it's harder because you have to take your mask off and you have to get your makeup done. So at one point, just like everyone, we were quarantining for a couple of months. And then when things started to get better, I was reaching out more to photographers and to artists, and I was trying to create more shoots and to put myself more out there.
Right.
It's definitely still hard to get jobs, but now, for example, like I told you that I had a job on Friday. They requested a test, a proof of a negative test for COVID before they book you for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still able to get jobs a little bit, but it just requires more effort and more time.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting. I was watching your TikTok before. I can't even remember when, but there was one where it said you got
The,
rejected for this one huge campaign because
oh my God,
the
I wanted to tell
result,
you.
the result.
Yeah,
Tell us about that.
I was so mad because it was such a good job and the brand was really good and I was really looking forward to it. And I knew that I was negative, but I didn't test before. And
Right.
they didn't even ask for a test before you get to the job, you know. So I booked it. I was so happy. It was 2 days, and I had another job on the same day which I canceled before of this job.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, so I got there. I they were doing like the finger tests,
Mm-hmm.
and the tests were messed up because some people were getting positive twice and then they would turn out negative. So they did my
Right.
test 3 times and it always turned out positive. And then they're
Oh
like,
no.
we're sorry, we cannot accept you and we cannot work with you even if the actual result was negative. So I'm like, okay, I left. I went home. I didn't go home. I actually went and did the actual test. And 2 days later, it turned out negative. So I was so mad because, like, I mean, you could have asked for a different test, you know, and I could have tested before I booked the job. So I literally lost both jobs for negative tests.
Which is something
uh,
anyone who's listening can learn from is
yeah.
definitely schedule testing ahead of time and be able to
Yes.
show that proof that you are
Yeah,
negative.
exactly. Even if they don't ask for it. So that's something that
Right,
I learned that I should always do.
right. Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That's all right. Okay,
Yeah, it
so
happens.
right, it happens, but everyone's staying safe. Um,
Yeah, of course.
let's go a little bit into the whole rejection part of things.
My favorite part.
Everyone knows rejection is part of the modeling life. How are
Of
you
course.
able to stay mentally, healthy? How are you able to handle rejection? What are some
Yes.
things that you do to be able to shake it off and move on?
Yeah. Well, rejections, I feel like it's a numbers game because the first time, as I told you, like the first rejection was in the beauty pageant, and it was the biggest shock of my life. Like me getting rejected for that, you know, that was my thought process. And then I obviously went home and cried a lot. And then the second time I got rejected, I was applying for a modeling agency, and it was my first modeling agency, like applying to it in LA. And
Right,
my work was not so good, you know, like I was still working on my portfolio, but I was so confident that I'm going to get signed with the first agency. I
right,
went there, got rejected, and it was another shock for me. So after that, like the more I booked jobs, the more I applied to agencies, the more I went to open calls, I just got used to it. And I started to remind myself that rejection is not necessarily about you. Like rejection does not necessarily mean that you're not beautiful, that you're not confident, that you can't book
right,
jobs like that your work is not good. It does not mean that. It
right,
might mean that they're looking for someone taller, shorter, different look, a different ethnicity, you know? So it doesn't always, I learned not to take rejections personally. And I learned to take those rejections as a motivation for me to work harder, to update my
yep,
portfolio, like to take a step back and look at my work, like, okay, is my work really that good or should I improve it? So yeah, rejections, I feel like they're hard, of course, because it's an industry that judges you based on your appearance
mm-hmm,
at a certain level.
yes,
But you will learn with time that rejection is not always about you, and you will, through self-talk, through the people around you who support you, it will help a lot to like regain your confidence and to keep pushing forward and to use it as a positive impact on you instead of a negative impact.
fantastic. And speaking of the industry mainly being based on appearance, as we both know,
Yeah.
it's very strict on measurements, especially in the New York market. How are
Mm.
you able to be fitting into the measurement requirements that they have? Um, for those that don't know her, please check out her Instagram or TikTok. You'll see her just ripped abs everywhere, constantly working out. Walk us
um
through the things that you do to be able to not only fit into the measurements, but also to just stay healthy and physically
yeah.
fit. Mm-hmm.
So about that, like a little backstory, I've for the people who want to try modeling, I've tried so many different crazy diets. Like I've been on apples and yogurt for a week. I've just because I wanted a slimmer thigh gap. I've tried eating veggies for a week, like different crazy diets because I was really like obsessed with losing weight.
Right.
And then at one point, I was just um, telling myself, and I was trying to accept that my hips are never going to be 34, because I have wider hips. I'm a 40, and it's my bone structure, like it's not fat because
Right.
I've been working out since I was young, and that's why like my abs, even if I don't work out, they're kind of still ripped. So I learned to thank you. Well, it's my dad. He used to make us do like a lot of sit-ups and crunches since we were
That's
young. So
awesome,
thank
though.
you, dad. Yeah.
That is so
Um,
great.
oh yeah, I thank him every day for that. And so yeah, I just learned that I have to have a healthy diet or a healthy lifestyle. I don't like to call it a diet.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad again helped with that because he has been healthy since I was born. So in general, I do have a healthy lifestyle. But even if the people who don't have a healthy lifestyle, I would feel like it's necessary because the goal is not to lose weight. The goal is to make it, well, your body, like you're living in your body. So that's the most important thing for you to take care of.
Right.
So don't aim for like losing weight or changing your thigh gap or whatever. Just aim for a healthy lifestyle, and this is what I am doing right now.
That is great,
um
great advice, especially because you don't want to
yeah,
lose weight or change your diet
yeah,
for the sake of
exactly,
the
exactly.
industry. You do it for
Yeah,
the
for
sake of
sure.
being
Yeah,
healthy
exactly,
yourself. Uh,
exactly. So, and plus like my measurements still do not fit the industry anyway, because New York is more strict on measurements. It's
right.
0 2 and I'm a 4. But again, I will change the industry for myself. I can't change myself for the industry. I am
That is
doing
fantastic.
the best I can, and yeah, and the
Yes.
rest will come in the way.
Right. And you
Yeah,
seem to be doing very well, especially because I see you making
thank
your
you.
booking jobs and whatnot. People
Yeah,
are finding you to work with for the sake of wanting to work with you, which is great. And I know there's been some talks
exactly.
lately about the sample sizes changing too, so hopefully we'll see some change there.
Oh yeah, I'm really hoping for that.
Me too. Okay, so this ties into confidence and
Yes,
skincare because modeling, again, appearance, really being the best of yourself. How are you
yes.
able to I know you've struggled with skin. What are you able to do to be able to be more confident in yourself? I know a lot of people struggle with acne. So how are you able to model while still, working on yourself?
Yeah. Well, as you said, like I've been suffering with skin problems for a while. I've tried different medications, different treatments. It's just like it just keeps coming and going. So sometimes my skin is clear, other times my skin is really bad. During New York Fashion Week, it was one of the worst phases for my skin, and I was still able to book jobs. And I feel like this is like a really big struggle, but gaining confidence with the how can I say it? Like regaining my confidence after all of the rejections because of my skin. And there's also like a story that I always talk about, me walking into an agency and the agent told me to fix my skin before thinking about walking into an agency like that.
Right.
So that struck really into my confidence. But then when I started looking at social media and when I started realizing that I keep comparing myself to what I see, and although I'm in the industry, I'm still comparing myself to the people who I see who have like the perfect skin and the perfect texture and who are booking jobs.
Right.
I started realizing that this is something that's really affecting me and I should stop doing that. And when I got more and more in the industry, I started realizing that it's not just me. Like there's a lot of models who actually have acne, and under all of
Yes.
this perfect skin that you see on billboards and commercials, models actually have, sometimes
Right.
they have acne, you know. And this is coming from someone in the industry, so I can imagine someone who's just looking at the industry from the outside, how their confidence can be affected. So this is why as I said, like on social media, I say that I try to talk to photographers and to tell them not to edit my skin, because I want the industry to get to a point where we see a cover of Vogue or whatever billboard that
Right.
has a photo shoot without having their skin retouched, because this will give confidence to people and it would remove maybe their insecurities about their skin. So skin is a really tough part of the industry for sure, but I feel like it's also getting better. And I am, if I can say that, I'm kind of taking responsibility to try to fix this part of the
Yes.
industry by showing my skin more, by telling people that no, not perfection is not there. It's there's a lot of flaws in your skin and there's a lot of imperfections, but they are perfect just the way they are.
Absolutely. Which is why I love your social media, because it's so skin
Thank you.
positive. I
Yeah,
remember,
of course.
I don't remember if it was on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, but it was like this video audition that you sent for Marc Jacobs or something, and you were showing
Yeah.
the real natural state of your skin and foundation, and then you were wiping off the foundation, and you're like,
Yeah.
"This is me," and I said, "Oh my God, that is
Yes.
so beautiful. That is such a good
Thank
message."
you. Thank you. Yeah, I try to put this message out there, especially nowadays, because on social media, like seriously, Gen Z especially, they're getting a lot of insecurities and confidence problems because of skin and because of what they're seeing. So I'm
Right,
trying to tell them that no, it's not. That's not the truth. Like this is the truth. This is what's behind all of the perfection that you're seeing. I
right.
hope it helps. So yeah.
I'm sure it will, because even the bigger named models also struggle with acne. I don't know
Yeah, for sure.
if anyone's ever seen like the behind the scene photos or even, the red carpet photos, you'll actually see untouched raw, faces. And
Yeah, exactly.
what's out there on social media is with, Photoshop or filters or whatnot. So, um, it's good that you mentioned, trying to build yourself from within, because that's where
Yes,
confidence
for sure.
starts.
Exactly,
Um,
exactly.
right. Okay. So that's fantastic. I love how positive you are about this. And
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
right, especially because, like you said, Gen Z does get a barrage of the social
Yeah.
media
True.
fantasy that we have going on.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very important, like, to show them what the reality is.
Hmm. Okay. So I think that more or less brings us to the end of the interview. For one final question, if you can give advice or tips or tricks that you have, even for your past self, and for
Yeah.
those listening, what would it be for those trying to break into the industry or those who are currently in the industry already?
I would say one of the best advices I would give is for the models to invest in themselves and in their careers, whether financially or time-wise. Practicing, well, this is obviously like a really big industry and it's very competitive. So the more you work on your skills, the more you watch other stories of models and their stories, how they started versus where they reach now, practicing poses, practicing your catwalk, signing up for model camps, watching videos, tutorials. So trying to do different photo shoots, knowing your angles, trying to be creative, reaching out to creatives in the industry. So it's
Yep.
all about like growing your connections, because connections in this industry is also really important. So I would say, yeah, like work on yourself, try to improve yourself as much as you can on a daily basis if that's possible, and keep trying to reach out to different photographers, different creatives, because you'll never know who's going to connect you to someone, and then
Exactly.
this person will connect you to someone else, and then you might land a job, and this would push your career a lot faster than you thought it would, you know? So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Because
And one
connections
thing
are
I
everything.
didn't, yeah, of course. And one thing I didn't do before, which is not a mistake, it's kind of a mistake, yes, is I was not investing financially in my career, especially as a start. Like instead of having a really good portfolio at the beginning of my career, I was trying to do a lot of TFPs at the beginning. So this kind of
Right.
delayed my breakthrough, if you want. Yeah. So this is really
Right.
important.
Let's talk about let's dive into that just a little bit before we go.
Yeah.
Investing in yourself and your portfolio. How much would you
Yes.
say, or like if you can, I don't know if if you're setting a price or whatnot, but what do you mean by investing?
Investing in yourself financially is it depends on which level you are in the modeling career. You would reach out to the specific photographers or creatives and create photo shoots that would benefit your portfolio or like would improve the quality of your portfolio. And in other ways, investing in model camps, like for example the CRMC, which was an amazing experience
Incredible
for
experience.
it was an awesome experience for my modeling career. I feel like I thought I was a model before CRMC, and then it changed, it shifted my whole perception of
Right.
the industry. So stuff like that, model camps like that, maybe classes, runway classes, every opportunity that you can get to improve yourself, invest in it, because it will come back to you. Like it's fine, you know?
Right.
So this is really important to do, especially as a start, because you will gain more experience and more confidence on the way.
Right. So it's definitely worth it to be able to
Yeah, of
put
course.
in
Push
the
yourself.
money and then it
Yes.
will come back to you. For those that are watching that don't
Yes,
know what
exactly.
CRMC is, it is the Coco Rocha Model Camp. She and I both attended it at different times, but we were able to connect that way, which was
Yeah.
amazing. It was just one incredible experience
Amazing. I'm
where
so
we,
thankful for this experience.
me too. This was definitely a perfect example of investing in ourselves because that
Yes.
was definitely an investment, but it was absolutely worth it.
Yeah, of course.
Learning from Coco Rocha herself, where for me, the value that I took away was definitely the business side of things. And
Yes, of course.
right. So, yep, for those listening, definitely set aside a certain amount, try and budget out what you can to be able to invest. Again,
Yeah.
do your research on the types of classes or maybe model camps that you're doing. If you already signed up with an agency, possibly ask, if they have some
Yeah.
courses or workshops that you can attend, because not just financially, any type of time that you're investing is also time for yourself as a model.
True, true. And one thing that I also want to add is like some models might say, or some people might say that I don't have the money for that, or it's not like an urgent thing to do. No, it is. If you really want modeling so bad, you would find a way. Um, when I went to the CRMC, I also had a video about it on social media. I was working the job and I was literally getting paid like $12 per hour. And I wasn't like a really good financial stage in my life, but I
Right.
took the decision in one day after I reached out to Coco, and I'm like, I have to do it. I don't know how, but I will find a way. I got the money, and then when I came back, I found another job and I started working more hours and I get the money back, you know? So money just comes and goes. The
Right.
more important part is what you're going to get out of this experience, and the money will come eventually.
Exactly. So that is the perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for, sharing your
Thank you so
story.
much.
Um,
Of course, anytime.
I hope those who are listening definitely learned as much as I did from talking with you.
Thank you
I
so much.
absolutely am so excited for your journey, especially because you are so driven, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I really hope that I added more value to your podcast. You're also doing a really good job, and
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to see you here in New York.
All right.